sitting on the brand new Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea adventure with Imagineer and show animator Ethan Reed. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to riding this with you.
Yeah, it's going to be great, Ricky. Have you been on it before?
Yes, I've been through twice today, and I
Okay.
must say it's a really excellent ride. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you did working on this attraction?
Well, I was the lead animator on the attraction, so
Okay.
I helped design what the figures would do in each scene, working with our creative director. And Scuttle right here was the first figure I animated for the show, which is one of my favorite characters.
So does that mean you sat down there at the computer console and programmed all the movements for him?
Exactly. So I got to listen to this soundtrack and animate and get the right performance out of it. So.
And how do you go about that? I mean, you hear the great voice acting. How do you translate that to movement?
Well, I was trained as a traditional animator. I went to Cal Arts, and then I started at Walt Disney Imagineering animating Audio-Animatronics right out of school. First show I worked on was Sinbad's for Tokyo Disney Sea.
Sure.
Worked with Larry Nicolai and Chris Crump on that. So I really like working on this attraction because it's like a homecoming because we're a big family. So
yes, and now clearly we are going under the sea by the bubbles moving through. And you said you're a traditional animator. As we see up here, we've got sort of some almost traditional animation is computer generated. How can you explain that mix between animating these parts of the ride versus the audio animatronics?
Well, the animation that's media was done by Feature Animation, Walt Disney Feature Animation, and I animated like Ariel here. Ariel here, we've got she's got her animated hair. We spent about 2 years trying to perfect how that hair was going to look and move.
Because we're under the sea now.
Because we're under the sea, and we didn't want it to be distracting, and it had to feel like it was floating. So we brought in Glenn Keane and worked with Larry Nicolai on how much it should move.
Sure.
And it was great when Glenn Keane and Andreas Deja and all the original animators on the attraction came through here.
Now, as we pass through that scene, obviously we spent a very brief amount of time with Ariel. Was it a balance to figure out how much you can animate in a short amount of time?
Well, what I do is I listen to the soundtrack and I, make the performance match the length of dialogue that I have. But Sebastian here, who has his eyes, which are animated, digitally, he's got a very long sequence because we're in this scene for quite a long time.
Well, it's a huge scene, obviously. One of the biggest, I think, in any Disney dark ride of this kind.
Oh yeah.
How many animated figures are we looking at in here?
In this scene, in this scene alone, there's over 100 in the entire attraction, but the starfish, there's at least 50 starfish in this scene.
Yeah, well, it's very impressive. Tell me a little bit more about Sebastian's eyes and then all this other movement.
Well, what happened is I was the lead animator on Mr. Potato Head for Toy Story Mania. So, they couldn't fit the eye functions traditionally into the head. So, we worked with our research and development group, and they were doing some experimentation and said, well, can we do little Mr. Potato Head eyes? So we did, and to me it really helps him come to life because when you go to animation school, you learn that the way into a character is through the eyes.
Definitely.
So we really wanted to make sure that we had eye blinks and eye movements on all of our key figures like Sebastian.
Right. Well, and it seems like over time with the audio animatronics advancements, that combined with finger movements and mouth expressions has really made them more lifelike.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff we learned on the Mr. Lincoln figure that we did for Disneyland, we took a lot of those learnings and applied them to this attraction here at Disney California Adventure. So now we're going into Ursula's lair. This has got to be my favorite figure.
It's an amazingly huge, impressive figure. It's a really great transition too from the great song and dance and happiness, and then now we're in the black light, ominous feeling, and we're all of a sudden hit with this massive Ursula figure. Can you tell me what it was like programming this?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I've animated over 10 years at Walt Disney Imagineering, and Ursula is my favorite figure I've animated. Yeah. She can get her big high notes, and she's got her eye squints and things like that. She's got the full arms. She's got little lip smears. I mean, it's a lot of fun to animate her. And
learning more about this Ursula figure, I've heard a lot about the squash and stretch figures that come from traditional animation.
Yeah, I pushed really hard to get squash and stretch in her because we wanted her to bounce to the music.
Right.
So actually getting a audio-animatronics figure to have squash and stretch in it was a lot of fun because
Is that the first time that this has been done?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, it turned out absolutely fantastic. Now we're passing another one of these computer-generated scenes. How was it decided to put a few scenes as CG versus adding even more animatronics?
well, I think it depended on what story we were telling.
Okay.
You know, so the story we're trying to come across is the Little Mermaid, and it worked for the projections that we've used.
Right.
Worked for that.
Sure, that scene.
That scene,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, we've got a very iconic scene from the movie here, and as much as the attention is on Ariel
Yeah.
and her little love scene there,
Yeah.
I love the expression on Sebastian's face as he's singing the Kiss the Girl song.
Yeah, my favorite thing in that scene is the kissy frogs, because they have little lips that go back and forth.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, next time
I'll have to-
that's
I will
the great thing about this
specifically look
attraction.
for that. Yeah.
It's a family dark ride that everybody can go on, grandmas and grandpas and little kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's a traditional Disney attraction,
Right.
and every time you go through, you'll see something different. So it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's like it's
I've been through
different
that
each
ride
time.
a million times, and I'm still seeing something new. And of course, now we're in this big grand finale scene. Can you tell me a little bit more about King Triton here? Is he very similar to all the other animatronic figures we've seen in the ride?
King Triton is a hydraulically driven figure. He's
Okay.
got a silicone skin, and he's got real hair for his beard and his
Right.
hair. And that was done mainly because he had a lot of head motion.
Right.
So, and I think it's really great. I mean, our figure finishing department, our mechanical departments, all the different disciplines that go into making these Audio-Animatronics, they really have done an amazing job.
Definitely.
I mean, it's so nice, and we got different size figures. We got the little tiny Sebastian, and he's got a lot of animation in him, and then we've got Ursula, who's 7.5 feet tall. So
They're all extremely believable, and then we end with Scuttle once again right where we started, which is fantastic. And now I think we've reached the end of the ride.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for telling me more about the Audio-Animatronics here, and maybe I'll go around again.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, please come back to Ariel's Undersea Adventure here at Disney California Adventure.
Great, thank you.